Hey everybody, welcome to Jacob's Quest, and today I just finished watching Miss Marvel Episode 2, the brand new Marvel show. Obviously, full spoilers going ahead. And yeah, this show continues to impress. It continues to just be this colorful, lighthearted, really fun, energetic show with like likable characters. And you know, again, I'm not like really attached to like the comic book version of this character. I don't really know much about, you know, this one, right? So this is my first introduction to like this world and these characters and any sort of plot twists that may or may not happen, because you know, Marvel always like it kind of plays fast and loose with whenever it's adapting something, you know. Sometimes it largely adapts something exactly, and then other times it's like, we're taking ideas but we're also bending a lot of things, you know. And I think this is more of the latter. But yeah, just this show continues to just be enjoyable. You know, I find myself laughing at least like 5-6 times for both of these episodes so far. And you know, it's a feel-good show, I think, you know what I mean. And we also, you know, this episode definitely deepened like what the actual plot of the show is going to be, because that first episode was very much just an introduction. You know, it's like, what is, you know, who is Kamala, what's her power, how does this all happen, how does this start? And then this episode was all like, okay, but what's the actual plot of the show? What is going, you know, what's the whole season gonna be about? And a lot of it seems to be about the mystery of her great grandmother. So you know, we kind of got hints a little bit about this in the first episode when the Bengal, by the way, it's the word Bengal, that's the word I was looking for. The word Bengal, no, but when the Bengal shows up and it was like, oh, this is some of your grandma's stuff, and the mom's like, oh, that's junk, put that in the attic, don't worry about that. It was kind of fishy there, you know. It was like, okay, the mom knows something, and then of course it starts to turn out that yes, she does, probably. Basically what we find out is that the great grandmother on the mom side of the family was some sort of like social pariah, you know, like she goes and talks to all of the different aunts, you know, the Illuminati as they call them. Basically a group of like somewhat older women who like would all, you know, they all know each other's family histories, and they all like start telling these stories about like, oh yeah, your great grandmother was a snake, she was a liar, I hear that she killed somebody, I hear that she was having an affair, you know, like all this stuff. And of course it's like this big mystery. And then there was something about her when she was a child and they were trying to flee to Pakistan, I guess. You know, I'm gonna be honest with you guys, this show is like also diving into some real world history type stuff that I'm not very familiar with, you know. So, you know, I did kind of have to like watch a YouTube video to kind of catch up on like, okay, so what exactly are they talking about here? Because there was some sort of separation between India and Pakistan, and it was a whole thing. I don't know, maybe I'm just not up on my world history, because I honestly, I'm like, okay, it feels like this is the first time I'm ever hearing about this, which, if anything, the fact that a Marvel TV show is teaching me real world history, that's actually kind of cool, you know what I mean? Like, I'm glad that they're diving into this stuff, because, you know, if this is the first time I'm really being exposed to all of this, like, that's, you know what I mean? It's educational, I guess. If nothing else, it is educational. But anyways, yeah, so apparently when the great grandmother was a child, she like didn't get on the train to leave the country, and then somehow what they say, they said that she followed some stars to get back home or something like that, which, you know, of course everyone's being really vague and cagey about exactly what was happening or specifically what they've heard. So the great grandmother must have had some kind of powers of some kind, and we actually even see what appears to be her, because, you know, twice in the show, once at the dinner table and the second while she's trying to save this falling kid, she has like a vision from the Bengal, and it's like, I guess it's supposed to be her great grandmother, and it's like, Kamala, come here, and she's like this ghostly looking figure, very mysterious looking. Meanwhile, you know, she's trying to train with her powers, and she's learning how to like make the little platforms and do all that stuff, right? And that's pretty cool. And again, I know it's a departure from the comics, and it's not her embiggen powers. And look, it doesn't bother me. I know it's gonna bother some people, but it is what it is. The show's really great, so I don't know. It feels like if the show's good enough, then I don't care what they change from the comics. I really don't. Anyways, so also she runs into this new kid at school who, they do like a slow motion getting out of the pool scene. You've seen it in the trailers, right? And she starts to have a crush on this kid, and they start hanging out, and everything seems to be going really well. The only thing that I think would be like kind of an alarm or like a red flag going on is like, wait a minute, the first episode it completely established that Kamala is considered the weirdo. She's considered like this really dorky kid in school, so she's not one of the popular girls, right? So everything seems to be going really smoothly with this new kid that everyone thinks is really awesome, and he has his own car. My thing is like there's some red flags going on, like, okay, hold on, so things are going really too well, I think, like something's happening, something's going on here, this is too fishy, right? And of course by the end of the episode, she manages to save this kid who was falling, but the grandma ghost vision shows up, and she drops the kid, kind of. She the kid didn't like die or anything, but definitely was not as smooth of a save as it probably could have been. And so she goes on the run, and she starts getting chased by these drones, and of course it is the damage control, Department of Damage Control, I think it's DODC, or anyways, it's the same type of people who were they were interrogating Spider-Man in No Way Home. I think we've seen this group before. I think we saw them at the beginning of Spider-Man Homecoming, Damage Control. But anyways, so yeah, it's the exact same people. I think it's some of the same actors who are basically trying to capture her now. And they, apparently last episode there was an after credit scene that I had completely missed. I went back and watched it, and I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So they set up that Damage Control is like, they saw footage from the convention, and they're trying to find her. And so here they are, and they're about to capture her, but then here comes in the again, I forget his name, but the cool kid from class in his car, and he's like, come on, like, get in. And then as they're driving away, in the back seat is the great grandmother, maybe, who appears to have been showing up in all these visions that she's having. So it's very unclear as to what exactly is going on. Is this actually the same lady? I think it's the same actor, but is this meant to be like a different character? And also, that didn't look like a great grandmother. She would be like 80 or 90. That did not look like an 80 or 90-year-old. So clearly something is happening, like superhuman wise, like, is she immortal or inhuman? Like, it definitely feels like the inhuman aspect is still gonna play some kind of part in this show. But yeah, the other thing that someone else was pointing out, that they make a joke when she's hanging out with the cool kid. Her brother shows up, and she kind of makes this joke, or not like a joke, but she lies, basically being like, oh, this is one of her cousins, I guess trying to not make him freak out that she's on a date with a boy or something. And she's like, this is one of our cousins. He's like, really? He's like, yeah, our second, third aunts, twice removed, just make it like distant enough that like, oh yeah, I guess we might have had a cousin there, kind of thing. And someone was pointing out that like the cool kid says, oh, I'd like you to meet my mom, and if the great grandma who's in the back seat is his mom, then that either makes him her uncle or her cousin or something, right? So it's like this, it's kind of funny in this way of like, oh, that might have ended up being for real, like her little lie to get out of this situation might have been real. Oof. Which of course that's gonna get awkward, if it turns out they're cousins now. But yeah, definitely they're building up the mystery, and there's gonna be some kind of big reveal. Now I'm gonna say this, when the great grandma was in like her ghostly looking vision form, she was like all, ooh, she's all floating and stuff. she looks sinister, you know, she looked like a bad guy. So I don't know if that's what's gonna end up happening. I don't know if, like, now that she's in the back seat of the car and she's like, oh yeah, I'm the bad guy, by the way. And what's her connection to the bangle? Does she want it back, or is there a reason that she got rid of it? And what's her deal? Like, is she's an Inhuman, she's got powers of some kind, I have to imagine, right? So, you know, it's just, I enjoy the mystery. You know, clearly it seems like the mom knows more than she's letting on, and probably a lot of people in town, you know, even the grandma, they all know something and they're just not saying it, you know. So I really enjoy this. I'm just really enjoying this show. You know, we're getting the Marvel references, we're getting the superhero, like, trying out her powers and trying to make her first rescue attempt, and, you know, like, this origin story for a superhero. But at the same time, we're still getting sort of the, you know, Peter Parker high school, you know, every you know, what do you call it, the coming of age story, you know, like the day in the life of a drama high schooler kind of thing. We're getting all of those elements, but we're also getting it highly stylized, and it's got a lot of funny moments in it. So just overall, it's still just a really likable show, and I'm very, very curious as to, like, where this is going. What, you know, like, they're just building up this mystery, and I'm along for the ride. I know that some of these characters are comic book characters, but I think this is just, you know, kind of like the Eternals, where it's like, it's one of the situations where it's like, I know that if I wanted to, I could probably look up a comic and get some kind of answers as to what might be happening. But I kind of prefer just waiting, to be honest with you guys. Like, I like the journey that the show's taken us on. I like all the characters, and let's just see where it goes. Now, I do remember seeing there was some kind of interview where I don't know if it was the writer or director or what, but one of them was saying that, like, oh, the rest of the season's gonna get a lot darker, you know, which is interesting, you know, because, like, I can imagine it getting more serious as, like, the bad guy, you know, shows up and starts doing bad guy stuff. So I can imagine that happening. But as far as, like, darker, like, I don't know, I really enjoy the tone and the upbeat lightheartedness of it. So as long as it's, like, a really natural feeling transition, and it doesn't seem like it, you know, it just takes, like, some kind of sudden shift where all of a sudden people are dying, you know, like, as long as it's not like that kind of dark where it's coming out of nowhere, yeah, I'll be fine. I think this is just a really, really well done show, and it's got its own vibe, its own identity, and it's exploring a lot of, like, different cultural stuff that I am not very familiar with, and I'm just, you know, I like learning about it, you know, like, I'm interested in being like, okay, teach me more, you know. It's kind of funny how, like, you know, being able to show, not just show the culture, but, like, talk about things in the culture that, like, you would have to kind of be in that world to really understand. Like, it's kind of funny how, like, now I'm learning, you know. So I'm not just being entertained, but I'm actually, like, learning. I'm like, wait, what happened here? And the you know, what was this major historical event I've never heard of before? You know, just I don't know, it's kind of cool. Anyways, let me know what you guys think about Miss Marvel episode 2. What do you think is gonna end up happening? What's up with the grandma? What's up with the cool guy from school? What are they, cousins now? Like, what's going on? Yeah, and I'll see you guys on the next episode. Bye.